Welcome, this is Coach Dorf. We're in section 3.1. Let's look at a homework example. So here we're supposed to differentiate two different functions. In part A, we have the function g of x equals 1 over the square root of x plus the fourth root of x. What we need to do now is to rewrite these so that each term has x to some power. Then we can use the power rule. So 1 over the square root of x. Well, the square root of x is x to the 1/2 power. Because it's in the denominator, that's going to mean 1 over the square root of x is equal to x to the negative 1/2 power. Again, if something is in the denominator with a power, if I want to write it in the numerator, then I make that exponent negative. The second term, I have the fourth root of x. So that's going to be x to the 1/4 power. Now to do the power rule, I take the first one, x to the negative 1/2. I write down that negative 1/2, that exponent, put it out front, and then I take the x term and I take the previous exponent and subtract 1 from it. So I have negative 1/2 minus 1. For the second term, I bring the exponent out front by the power rule. I write the x down, and then I take the previous power, and I subtract 1 from it. So then I have that the derivative is negative 1/2 x. Then I have negative 1/2 minus 1, which is negative 3/2, plus 1/4 x. And then I have 1/4 minus 1, and that's going to be minus 3/4. And that's my answer. All right, for part B, we have f of x equals 3x squared plus x cubed over x. We're going to use the power rule on this one, but you're going to say, wait a minute, I don't have x to some power here. I've got a numerator and a denominator. Well, in a problem like this, what you can do is you can rewrite this as taking the 3x squared in the top and dividing it by the x plus the other term on the top, x cubed, and divide it by x. All right, so we're going to break this original problem into two different fractions, and then we can simplify it. So 3x squared over x is the same thing as 3x. X cubed over x is the same thing as x squared. Now I can do the power rule, and I have the 3x. When you say, well, what's the power there? Well, the power is 1. So I have 3 times 1. I bring the power out front, and then I do x, and then I do 1, the previous power, minus 1. For the second one, I bring the 2 out front, and then I have the x, and then I have 2 minus 1. And then finally, I can simplify that. 3 times 1 is 3. X to the 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. X to the 0 is just 1. So that's just going to stay as 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. And for the second term, I have 2, and then x to the 2 minus 1 power, which is just 2x. All right, hope that helps.